Begin tonight with this breaking news. Empire actor Jussie Smollett has been charged with felony disorderly conduct for allegedly filing a false police report. Now, this is a Class 4 felony punishable by up to 3 years in prison. It's a major decision now by the prosecutors, and it comes as newly uncovered surveillance video. Look at this. Shows the two brothers that have allegedly testified before the grand jury today, paid by Smollett to stage the assault. And they're purchasing multiple items that were used in what now looks like a hate crime hoax, including glasses, a ski mask, even a red hat. And earlier today, these two men literally testified before the grand jury against Smollett. Now, with evidence mounting, Smollett is in serious legal jeopardy tonight, and it could get far worse. Federal charges could also be on the way. But tonight, Smollett's attorneys, they are pushing back in a statement. It says, quote, like any other citizen, Mr. Smollett enjoys the presumption of innocence, particularly when there has been an investigation like this one, where information, both true and false, has been repeatedly leaked. Given these circumstances, we intend to conduct a thorough investigation and to mount an aggressive defense, which, by the way, we believe in due process and the presumption of innocence here on this show. But earlier today, the attorney for the two brothers that you just saw on that surveillance tape had this message for the embattled actor. Take a look.
Jussie Smollett says they're lying. What do you say to that?
I think Jussie Smollett should come clear because the truth will set him free.
Wow, powerful statement. We're going to take you live to the ground in Chicago. A full report coming up in just minutes and a lot more coming up. Sadly, what we see with Smollett is absolutely nothing new in terms of the media buying a hoax, hook, line, sinker. They go all the way in. Now, our top story tonight, Hannity watched into this abusively biased, hateful mob media in America. Remember, not so long ago, countless so-called journalists, pundits from all these other outlets threw caution to the wind in order to support Jussie Smollett and his very flawed story. I was warned early on, be careful. We didn't talk about it for a long time, waiting for the facts to come in. Now, despite the glaring red flags, they desperately wanted these wild claims and his narrative to be true. According to the mainstream media, all Trump supporters are racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic. We're all monsters that want dirty air, water, and to kill grandma and kids. But their coverage of Smollett, it's only a tiny tip of the iceberg in what is a media mob coordinated character assassination that takes place so often. They are wrong so often that fake news is abundance in this country. Remember the outrageous, despicable treatment in the media of now Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh? What about the Duke lacrosse case? What about the UVA rape case? What about Ferguson, Missouri? What about Baltimore? What about the Covington high school kids? Well, now famed attorney, somebody I've known a long time, Lynn Wood, has filed a massive $250 million lawsuit against the Washington Post on behalf of Nicholas Sandmann, a brutally devastating 38-page lawsuit. You can see it on Hannity.com. Lynn will be here in just a few minutes. Now, his newest client, a 16-year-old, 115-pound Covington high school student who was absolutely vilified by this media mob after he was videotaped standing, saying nothing, smiling, and trying not to react to all that was going on around him. As you can see, a 64-year-old Native American activist drumming right in his face and screaming rather loudly in his face, despite showing incredible, amazing, great restraint and staying calm and doing absolutely nothing wrong. Nicholas Sandmann was repeatedly smeared, slandered, his character assassinated, over and over, again and again on a national stage. They falsely reported that Nicholas Sandmann approached the Native American activist. It was the other way around. They falsely reported that Nicholas Sandmann was a racist and disrespectful and mean-spirited and even physical. All of that's not true. They did all of this based on what was only a short, inconclusive, 15-second clip, which showed absolutely nothing. But from print media, Hollywood actors and actresses, Democrats, cable news, major networks, nonstop, absolute, complete pile-on. Fake news, character assassination against a 16-year-old kid that it turns out did nothing wrong, except maybe wear a MAGA hat. Watch this.
Some students harassing an older Native American man, a Vietnam vet, in the midst of a special ceremony.
But Native American advocates say the video speaks for itself.
He got caught doing something that was incredibly racist and disrespectful.
It sounds like the main one who was standing right in the face of the Native American leader is already regretting some of those actions.
There were a lot of people who said that, build the wall, said that was shouted.
These actions of our students are inconsistent with the teachings of our church.
And they're all jeering and they're dancing. He's got this smug look on his face. And let's not lie, everyone that sees that smug look wants to punch that kid.
That young man there does not look like someone who is appreciative and considerate of this culture and this chant going on.
I blame that kid. What a little smirk face.
And while the media mob was besmirching the character of this young Covington High School student, they essentially ignored the group of black Hebrew Israelites. We have it on tape. They could have found it in 5 minutes, that were shouting at the kids vile, racist, homophobic comments at Sandmann and his classmates. Nicholas Sandmann never responded under the most difficult circumstances. The only thing he responded was to encourage his fellow classmate not to respond. Watch and listen.
This is the religion of America. Let's make America great again. A bunch of child molesters.
That's right.
Just like your damn Donald Trump.
Look at all these dusty crackers with that racist garbage on. Look at these dirty crackers.
Wow. All the media had to do was a little bit of work. Ask a few questions. They had easy access to this tape. But the media mob, they chose to rush to judgment, deny due process, guilt by accusation, and vilify and destroy the reputation of a 16-year-old kid and others. After all, he was wearing a red "Let's Make America Great Again" hat and attending, he's pro-life, a March for Life rally, which according to so many in the media, that's a vile, bigoted act. Watch this.
It has become an invitation for confrontation. Some have even referred to the hat as a modern-day version of the Confederate battle flag.
The hat in some ways represents, for many of us, a kind of racial animus.
The MAGA hat carries a certain connotation that provokes a conditioned reaction from many people, especially for marginalized people.
Just think about the symbol of that red hat. When I see the Make America Great Again hat now, Chris, I am triggered.
Nicholas Sandmann's public persecution was widespread, all on various, almost all liberal media outlets. But the Washington Post, they were one of the ones that led the way. And Sandmann's suit affirms that. Listen to this, a 38-page brutal takedown. The Post bullied an innocent child with an absolute disregard for the pain and destruction these attacks would cause to his life. And, quote, the Post wanted to lead the charge against this child because he was nothing but a pawn in a political war against their political adversary. Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz believes, and I agree with him, this is a very reasonable case with a really good chance of coming out in favor of Nicholas Sandmann against the Post, by the way, and I'd predict others. There is a ton of precedence in this. What we see with Sandmann is nothing new. You know, I met Lynn Wood, who's going to join us in a minute, in 1996. Before the year I started here at the Fox News Channel, I started in October of 96 after the Olympics was in Atlanta. He was representing Richard Jewell. 1996, in the immediate aftermath of the Olympic bombing, Richard Jewell was heralded and considered a hero after he spotted a suspicious bag. He pushed people away from the scene. He literally single-handedly saved countless lives in the process. But then the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, they pointed the finger at Richard Jewell, writing that hero guard may have planted the bomb. The media mob all piled on in that case, too. Why? Because they said he fit the vision or the profile of a lone bomber, single white man, and he lived with his mother. I happened to be on the air at that time in Atlanta. I found out later, I didn't know it at the time, Richard Jewell was actually listening to my radio show. He told me later I was the only person that didn't rush to judgment, because I thought it was ridiculous. Well, just because he lives with his mother doesn't make him out to be a terrorist. I learned a valuable lesson. It has served me so well ever since. In the end, it turned out the media mob was dead wrong. I was right. Jewel was innocent, and he was a hero. Linwood likely made him a very rich man. I haven't seen the settlements. Sadly, to this day, I believe that Richard died. He died at the age of 44 from a heart attack. I guarantee you, they say stress contributes to heart attacks. I strongly believe in my heart, no medical assessment, that this so devastated Richard Jewell that it probably increased his stress load, which led to an early death. Now, we cover every controversial case. That lesson taught me not to rush to judgment in the Duke lacrosse case, the UVA rape case, Ferguson, Baltimore, Trayvon, and George Zimmerman, even the Russia collusion hoax. The media goes in their direction. They're being proven wrong. The Cambridge police acted stupidly. Even vetting Obama, who the media mob loved and refused to do. I did what they would not do. Time after time, this mob gets it wrong again and again. And the media and their friends on the left are always happy to smear, slander, besmirch anyone and everyone as long as it fits into their divisive political narrative. Now, this has been the case for decades, but it's never been this bad. In the era of Trump, it has become obvious more than ever. Let's take a look.
Is this president trying to impersonate Hugo Chavez, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Vladimir Putin?
He's not of sound mind. That's somebody that clinically you look at and say, there's something wrong there.
Donald Trump, again, being a schmuck.
We can surely say his words have absolutely emboldened white supremacists.
He has given oxygen to racists.
I think you're elevating Trump to evil, whereas having raised 3 kids, I just think he's a giant toddler.
Is it possible that she's not concerned with his mistresses because she was one of them? Is that possible?
We can no longer say Trump's the bad guy. If you vote for Trump, you're the bad guy.
Every second, every minute, every hour of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year since Trump's been president. By the way, former